Good evening, everybody. It's Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, on October 16, 2025. Welcome back to my channel, and remember to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Well, I came across a terminology a couple of days ago that I had not heard of before, and it's with regard to, I guess you can say that it's involved in mobbing, community stalking, the reasons behind some of it, the tactics utilized, and particularly in the workforce. It's a syndrome called tall poppy syndrome. Poppy, you know, like the gorgeous flowers. If you don't know what poppies look like, I pulled up some photos of them. And let me just explain, because I've had poppies in when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey. And they are absolutely beautiful, stunning. They're eye openers. They're eye catching. And I'll show you here. They really stand out, and they're very tall. And then they have this gorgeous plume of red and orange sometimes, and yellow. They're absolutely stunning. Let me show you some other photos here. These are actually copyright-free photos, so I pulled them up here. But this is how beautiful they are. So obviously, they're stunning. They really catch your attention. And that's the basis of this tall poppy syndrome. Tall poppy syndrome refers to a phenomenon in which people criticize, attack, or resent someone due to their success or perhaps their attractiveness. This often occurs in the workplace and can harm the well-being of those who experience it. People who achieve high levels of success or occupy high-status positions are vulnerable to tall poppy syndrome. Jealousy, sexism, competitiveness, and other factors can motivate some people to react negatively to others' accomplishments, right? And this has happened to most targeted people. Many targeted people are or were accomplished at the height of their spirituality. They possess spiritual gifts, some knowledge, technical knowledge. Some people even have patents and copyrights and trademarks. So this is, and also in the workplace, it's usually the most conscientious person, the person who shows up on time, who's helpful to others, who cares about the success of their groups in the workplace, that are mobbed. So people may devalue, criticize, attack, or dislike someone because they have achieved success. And the tall poppy syndrome refers to people wanting to cut down, you know, like cutting down the flowers, a person who stands out as a high achiever. The term references the images of a poppy that grows taller than the rest of the flowers in the field, and they are stunning. The term actually originated in ancient Rome when the tyrannical king Tarquin the Proud instructed his son to delete or remove all of the most powerful men in the area that resisted his rule. Now, doesn't this sound familiar? The king demonstrated his wishes by cutting the heads off the tallest poppies in his garden. Some examples of tall poppy syndrome can occur in various forms across different settings, and it can involve others trying to undermine or devalue a person's success, and could include people aiming negative behaviors at high achieving individuals. And this happens in community-oriented policing, community stalking, because they spread a defamation campaign. And they usually target the person who is self-sustaining, independent, is not a sheeple, can think for themselves. So some of these tactics include ignoring, excluding, silencing the person, mocking them, Mimicry is a form of mocking, and I experienced that just recently on a recorded call with the PVA officer at the Jackson County PVA office, Bobby Edwards, who was mocking me because he failed to send me a notification that he increased my property taxes from 0 to 145758. No notification and no ability to dispute or argue it. And of course, providing me no reference. And through a FOIA request, he couldn't even produce a copy of the letter that he allegedly sent, which he did not. So yeah, so he was mocking me on the phone, bullying or cyber stalking, and we've all had the bullies and the cyber stalkers, undermining them at work, taking credit for their work, unfairly criticizing, berating, or disciplining them, dismissing or downplaying their accomplishments, and gossiping about them. You know, the defamation. People gossip all the time. You know, they'll tell little stories here and there, or they'll hear something and they don't validate it, and maybe they'll just spread a rumor. But what happens to targeted people? It is a well-concocted psychological takedown of an individual through the communities with false dossiers, files, and completely infiltrate your network of people, where the people who have spread the rumors to your neighbors, etc., they become openly hostile towards you. Sort of like at the Jackson County PVA, he was openly hostile to me on the phone, mocking me like he had a dirty little secret. So in a 2018 survey, people responded with examples of others targeting them in the workplace in very specific ways. And this included people labeling them as impossibly perfectionists, barring them from promotions, accusing them of being aggressive for speaking up. That's actually what happened to me at the Jackson County PVA last year, when I was questioning how they were going to value my property. He turned around and gaslighted me and projected onto me. He says, "Oh, why are you acting so angry?" "I'm not being angry. I'm asking you a question. These are my rights as a taxpayer." Accusing them of being overpaid, labeling them as overly emotional, sabotaging their work, insinuating they didn't achieve their success through hard work or legitimate means. I mean, who knows what they say? They actually stole my master's degree here. Oh, yeah, that's just one of the many things that were stolen of things that identify me as being successful. So who does it affect most? In a 2020 article, it notes that people in Australia and New Zealand are especially familiar with the term tall poppy syndrome. And I've got Zoomy here in the background. He came in to eat. He wants to eat and run. Yes? I'll be with you in just a minute. We're talking about the tall poppies. So tall poppy syndrome also regularly occurs in the United States and Canada, although people are typically less familiar with the term in these and other areas around the world. And I actually heard about this term for the first time the other day in regards to mobbing and narcissism. So some of the causes of a tall poppy syndrome typically affects people in the workplace. This is like a workplace mobbing thing, because some of the factors that contribute to people attempting to cut down those they deem successful include, obviously, jealousy, sexism and gender stereotypes, men that hate women, the little weenie boys, racism, competitiveness, a culture of an organization, a person's lack of confidence, and a person's lack of awareness. Now, many people find they experience tall poppy syndrome in their personal lives. They've reported receiving hostile treatment due to their achievements from friends, partners, spouses, parents, siblings, in-laws, and people on social networks. Yes, they'll put you down. So tall poppy syndrome can lead to various negative effects on the person who's the target. And I'm reading this from an article. Actually, this is an article in, believe it or not, in medicalnewstoday.com. So it will include having low self-esteem, being unwilling to share achievements, feeling disengaged from work, experiencing higher levels of stress, experiencing symptoms of mental health disorders like anxiety and depression, experiencing physical symptoms like digestive issues or headaches, which, of course, as targeted people, we're getting microwaved, so we're going to have digestive issues and headaches, and it's not necessarily from any poppy syndrome. Having an increased risk for substance misuse, to inebriate yourself from the pain of being harassed, experiencing burnout, experiencing lower job satisfaction, and being less productive at work because you're being harassed. So how should you deal with the tall poppy syndrome? You need to keep a record of instances of bullying, calmly explaining the effects of their behavior to the perpetrator. Well, I tried to do that with Jezzy with the blue lights on, Jezebel. Why do I call her Jezebel with the blue lights on? Well, I'm not going to say her name, but she is a Jezebel spirit because she's a pathological liar. She takes pleasure in tormenting and harassing other people, and she lies about it. She gets off on it. And when I mentioned to her what targeting was about, she had the audacity to comment, "Do you mean that I can do anything I want to you and get away with it, like nothing will happen to me?" Like, what kind of a psychopath thinks that way? So yes, that is the Jezebel spirit. So you can seek advice from an employee representative, an HR professional, a manager, a supervisor, another targeted person, a trusting targeted person, sharing experiences with other employees or other targeted people, making a formal complaint according to an organization's grievance processes and procedures. So I thought it was really interesting, and I'm going to show you pictures of these poppies again. The tall poppy syndrome. So here you go. Poppies stand out amongst the rest of the flowers. They're beautiful, they're different, they're tall, they're elegant. And people want to steal your shine, your poppy, your beautiful poppiness. So anyway, leave a comment down below. Have you heard about the tall poppy syndrome? This was news to me. Anyway, thank you for listening and subscribing. Share if you feel inclined to do so, and I will talk to you guys soon.